Hello again. Before I begin, it has just occurred to me that I've not done videos on a lot of knives that I thought I did do videos on. And that's a lot of knives. In fact, I've only made videos on a tiny portion of my collection. A lot of videos I thought I made, it seems that I hadn't. So that's good news, because I thought I was running out of knives as well as money to buy knives, because I've been spending all my money to feed my woodworking hobby. So I just thought I'd put that out there. There's a bunch of knives that I've forgot to make videos of. Anyway, today we're going to be looking at the Victorinox Soldier, which incidentally is actually one of those knives that I keep forgetting to make videos on. And I'm going to make it a little bit more interesting than normal, because usually I don't buy more than one of that particular knife. There's only a handful of knives or multi-tools that I have double of. I don't just have double of this one, I've actually got 3 of these. I'll explain why in a minute. But I'll just show you, I've got another one here in the box. This is the first one I bought, and these two just came today. I bought that first Soldier about 5 years ago, but here's a second, and I've also got a third in a blister packet, and I'm not planning on selling these. I'm keeping these for my own collection. Well, one of them I'm keeping for my collection, the other two I'm planning on using. I'll give you context in a minute. So as I said, this is the first one that I bought, so this is going to be the actual look at the knife. These are the current issue Soldier knives, so they actually have dates on them. That's the latest iteration of the Victorinox Soldier, so obviously it's the 111mm models. And I'll just quickly bring out the standard. You know what, I keep forgetting every time. 91mm, I think. Someone will tell me off for getting that wrong. Anyway, the main blade, which is one hand opening, and obviously has a liner lock, and these are a bit more than 3 inches, so obviously with that plus 3-inch cutting edge and the liner lock, this is sadly not legal to carry in the UK. Speaking of the liner lock, these are a bit weird. Usually with liner locks you push the lock this way. This one you push that way, which is rather weird. Obviously when you would close it, you would push that way and fold with your finger like that. But with this it's the opposite, so you can't really, I mean you can, but it's difficult. So the easiest way to do it one hand would be to just press it on your leg like that to close it. Now there's a lot I like about this knife, including the blade. Other than the fact that it's locking and over 3 inches, it would be nice if they made a non-locking sub 3 inch version, because there's no reason they couldn't do that. These have the exact same springs as the standard Victorinox knives, and in fact I had been wondering, is there a way I could jam this lock, because I like to have option. I mean, I've got so many knives, but I would like to be able to carry one of these. You know, maybe there's that odd occasion when I feel like I just want to carry this for a day instead of just something like this. I thought that would be nice, especially as it's a Swiss Army knife with one hand opening and that partially serrated blade. Now this is a rather odd knife, not just because of the lock, but it's serrated towards the front, and there's more serrations than not. It's easier if I turn it around. Usually it's the other way around. You notice the serrations at the front and the plain edges at the back. Usually this portion would be serrated and the rest would be straight. On that note, you can see there that it is a chisel grind, which looks like it sort of turns into a hollow grind. So here is chisel, so it's not sharpened on the other side. Same applies to the serrations, which are very sharp. I've cut myself on these blades numerous times and they're not very nice. It's quite the cut these give you. As for the point, it's not very pointy, but you can get some penetration going on in there. Markings on the knife, Victorinox, Swiss made, and you notice it doesn't say Officier Suisse or whatever it is that it usually says on the standard officer knives. Victorinox, Swiss made, stainless, and I think that's supposed to say Officer Swiss, but obviously in French. And you'll notice this one has 17 on the tang as it's a military knife, usually military issue things have dates on them, whereas the standard Swiss Army knives do not. So this was made in 2017, and I think this is the 2008 pattern Swiss Army knife. All the rest of them before that were a bit more like the Pioneer. I forgot to pick up a Pioneer, but here is the Electrician. The only difference between the Electrician and the Pioneer is the Electrician replaces the can opener with an electrician's blade. So that's really the only difference. But obviously this is much more modern. The previous models, I don't have any by the way, can't afford them, but the previous model Soldiers did not have a saw where this one does. So we'll get to that now, I suppose, since I've mentioned it. So it does have quite a long saw. I've never actually used a saw on these locking models. I feel like it wouldn't be that comfortable, obviously because of that blade, but honestly, even if I just squeeze it, it doesn't even feel bad. And as it's a much longer saw, and again I'll just compare it to the Ranger, obviously it'll do a quicker cut, but it's the exact same, it's essentially the exact same saw blade, just a bit more reach and a little bit sturdier. This is not locking. In fact, there's only two tools that is locking on this, the knife and the screwdriver, which we'll get to shortly. So this is just a slip joint, but again that's over 3 inches. So even if you did want to do something with that knife, that might be a bit of a problem to you. Personally, I wouldn't bother with shortening the knife, shortening the blade. Here is the can opener, the exact same can opener basically that's on a Pioneer, which also doubles as a screwdriver. I don't know what the feeling is for people using a Swiss Army knife to open their food, but whenever I open a tin, I usually like to use a Swiss Army knife or some sort of multi-tool. Not that I'm opening tins of food that often, usually when I am, it's haggis, and when I do have a tin of haggis or something like that, it's usually a Swiss Army knife. I'll be honest though, there's been times that I've sat and looked at my collection for about 5 minutes thinking to myself, which one do I want to use to open my tin of haggis today? Probably going to have a tin of haggis now because I've not had one in ages, at least 6 months anyway. Moving on, the screwdriver, which does stop at the 45 degree, unlocks on fully open, which is far more sturdy. It's much bigger than the standard sizes, which again I'll bring out that Ranger so you can see it is quite a bit beefier, which makes sense. It is a soldier model knife. It is a bigger all-around knife, multi-tool, whatever you want to call it. It's thicker, and obviously you could feel a lot more confident using this as a pry bar as it's thicker and it locks. Now this is a combination tool. By the way, these are screwdrivers before they're bottle openers. If you look back at the older knives, you'll notice they didn't have a bottle opener, but they were a screwdriver. So what they've done is they've taken the screwdriver and looked at it, and this applies to all Swiss Army knives by the way, including these. They've looked at it basically and thought, how could I make that more useful? And obviously Victorinox opted to put a bottle opener and a wire bender, and I've never really seen anyone use these. I mean, some YouTubers sort of look for reasons to use these. I mean, I don't see that as a bad thing. I'm not going to lie, I kind of do that too, but I just felt like saying that because reasons. Similarly, this locks, as I said, you push it that way and it is a little bit awkward. So that's a thing. And the only other tools we have left is a Phillips head screwdriver and an awl. Now the choice of an awl does sort of make sense as it is a soldier's knife, but one thing you would think you would want with it being a soldier's knife is a sewing eye. I mean, if you're needing to repair your own kit or something, I understand that they're probably going to be carrying a sewing kit, but it just seems a bit strange that the rest of the Swiss Army knives on these awls have a sewing eye, but the soldier does not. And as this is a soldier's knife, you could also argue that it's a survival knife, and some people do use Swiss Army knives as survival knives, and this would be a good option. So it seems a bit of a strange thing to do to leave it out. The only other feature on this obviously is the key ring to attach a lanyard or keys if you really want to do that. Because of the colour being this military OD green with the black, for me I would want to put an orange lanyard on that if I was to take it out to the woods. I like the colour, I like the feel. I wouldn't say it's grippy necessarily, but it is nice, and it does have a nice military look. Other than the reflectiveness, which kind of shouts, hey, look at me, I'm shiny. Speaking of being out in the woods, I'm gonna just say why I bought the other two, although I'm not actually sure why I bought two. I know why I bought another one, I don't know why I bought two. So here's the original one I bought. I don't really want to mix them up because I'm planning on keeping the original one that I bought, as I've never used it. I have the Victorinox collector's case, and that's where I keep half of my Swiss Army knives. It's basically full, but that's going to live in there forevermore. I had been playing with the idea of carrying it out to the woods or taking it to whenever I need to do a job somewhere, helping a friend or whatever. But I kinda, as it's a military model, I kinda wanted to keep it nice and buy a second one for use. So that's why I bought a second one. And the reason I bought, for the same reason I bought a second one is the same reason I bought a third one. This one was bought from Heine, and I think I paid £35 for it. And that's a good price, although I had a look recently to see what the price is, and they're about £42 on Heine at the moment. However, I was recently browsing a new website called tacticalknives.co.uk, and I will say I was a bit hesitant to use that website, as I've never heard of it before, and I've been in the EDC for a long time, and I've never heard anyone else talking about it, so I was a bit sceptical, and especially as it seemed to be a brand new website, but everything seemed legit. This, however, was rather inexpensive, and I will get to that. I had a look at the reviews, and everyone said, yeah, it's a legit website, it's just new, but the service is good. I ordered this on Sunday, today is Tuesday, and it came just a few hours ago, so Tactical Knives does seem to be a good website. One thing that threw me off the website was its name itself, Tactical Knives, because a lot of you are probably not aware of this, even you in the EDC community, in the knife community in the UK, but it's illegal to advertise a knife to suggest that it's suitable for combat. Even if it's a combat knife such as a K-Bar, USMC or a Fairbairn Sykes, those are illegal to own at home, but it's a crime for the dealer to advertise it as suitable for combat. They're literally designed for combat, especially a Fairbairn Sykes. That knife is literally designed to be slid down your shoulder to puncture your lung. Yeah, funny laws. So I just sort of thought, Tactical Knives, is that illegal? Must be fine, I suppose. I hope so. So far I'm happy with the service, but the part that you're going to want to hear, and I'm not advertising for them, I've bought this with my own money, I'm not sponsored by anyone or anything like that. I'm just happy with the price and happy with the service. I paid £16.50 for this, and when I saw that I thought, well, it'd be kind of silly to not have two. So for the two of these I paid about £33 plus free shipping. Whereas on Heine, I paid £35 for this, for one, and I think it was free shipping. So it just seemed like it would make sense to buy two, especially as I wanted to keep one for collection. I like collecting things. One as a dedicated work knife, and another one just because reasons, I suppose. Maybe I'll modify it and make it UK legal. In fact, I'll just briefly talk about my thoughts on that. It wouldn't actually be that difficult to make something like this UK legal, because as I says, it is still a slip joint and it is only a hair over 3 inches, so it'd just be the case of grinding a bit off the tip, then resharpening it, or simply running a round file through the choil to make the choil bigger and slightly shorten the blade till it's under 3 inches. Remember, it's only the cutting edge that matters. As for the lock, that was the difficult part. I could take it apart, drill out the pins, but I've never really done that and I don't feel confident. However, what I could do is put the knife in a drill vise and drill out the lock, and it would only drill out half of it. You can kind of see the light through there. I'll just open it up, because someone, I doubt many people have thought of this, but now that I've mentioned it, someone might want to try it. And if anyone does decide to try this, or you know someone that has tried this, I'd be interested to know. You can kind of see what's going on in there. So there's kind of a tab in the middle holding both of these liner locks together. So if you just drilled it out there, that would remove the liner lock and you'd have to file it a bit. But that would technically be UK legal because you've just completely removed the lock. I'll just close all the blades on this so I don't hurt myself. Now obviously that one I just opened came in a box, and the other one, why is the brightness went down? The other one came in a blister packet, which I thought was rather strange. But you have a look here, it's the exact same thing, it's no different, and now we're going too bright. Sorry about that. Now I've mixed them up, that's not good. The same thing, right, that's the one I already had, that's a 17. And if we open up this one, that's an 18. I think some of these have been faked. I think the most commonly faked Swiss Army knife is the Victorinox Rescue Tool, which I've never even handled. I couldn't really tell you how to spot a fake, but it looks legit to me. I don't actually see any problems at all. Sorry about that light there. What's going on? It's acting up today, isn't it? Looks absolutely fine to me. So I think I'll use, yeah, this is the 18. So I'll just open up this blister packet and we'll have a look at the date, and then I suppose I'll end it there. Might have more to say, I'm not sure. Yeah, so just show you that if that's something you're interested in. Nothing too exciting. I usually don't see the point in opening packages on camera. It does seem like a bit of a pointless exercise, but whatever, I'll make an exception I suppose. No point fighting all that time with it and wasting your time and wasting my time. I must say I really hate blister packets. Even though it gives me an excuse to play with my knives. There. Let's see what date this is. I'm hoping it's going to be a 19, that would be nice. Bugger. Oh well, that's fine I suppose. So I've got two 18s and a 17. So these two here, these will be my users. And this one I'll just keep in the case for my collection. It actually feels a little bit weird having three of the exact same knives, because it does seem like a bit of a pointless thing to do, and I have that many other knives. I mean, I must have somewhere between 40 and 70 Swiss Army knives altogether, and that's just the Swiss Army knives. It doesn't include traditionals, moderns, it doesn't include any of the rest of that. So yeah, that's a thing. Do I have any more to say? I don't think so. As I said though, £33 for two knives, two soldier knives is absolutely excellent. I will say as well, I recently seen on Millets that the Victorinox Soldier was on sale for that price. Now I'm not sure if Tactical Knives had these on sale or if that's their standard price. I didn't see anything about it being on sale, so I think that might have been their standard price. So I'm just going to say that again, I'm not advertising for them, I've not even spoken to them. I'm not going to either. I'm just, like I said, I paid for these with my own money. I just think £16, £16.50 each is, I mean, I basically stole it. You know what I mean? It's crazy. There was something else I was wanting to say. Forgot what it was. Very annoying. Well, anyway, I'll just move these off to the side and just do my usual comparisons to let you get on with your day. So I'll just compare it next to a Leatherman Wave, because that's something we're all familiar with. And how the hell with it, we'll use this for a rated blade. So you can see it's smaller than the Wave. Obviously a multi-tool like the Wave has a lot more utility. Generally speaking, I'd rather carry a Leatherman. What else? I suppose we'll compare it to a UK Legal. Boker Plus XS, and I'll just put it right beside that Victorinox Ranger, so you have an idea of what we're dealing with here. Right, well that pretty much concludes this video. Thanks for watching, and let me know your thoughts. See you after.